Budgeting is an important aspect of life. Whether you are living outside of your guardian's household for the first time, you have moved into student housing, or you're wanting to build up your savings with a specific goal in mind. This video will discuss budgeting for students in higher education, specifically through the perspective of UBC students, and it is the first part of a two-part series. It is important for you to have budgeting habits that align with your needs and lifestyle. If you are not in the practice of tracking your budget and spending more money than you would like to, you might find yourself stressed over a shrinking budget and having your mind focused on your expenses when you should be studying. Stressing over money can take up a lot of brain space, though budgeting can help ensure that you are thinking about your class material rather than how much you have left in your bank account. Let's start by reviewing some budgeting methods that have worked for some of our student staff. Consider what might work best for you in your current circumstances. Your needs will likely change over time, and it's okay to pick and choose what works best for you at that particular point in time. When you're starting to create a budget, the first thing that you need to think about is, what are you creating this budget for? Are you simply trying to make sure that your student loans last the entire semester or until you can find a job? Or do you have a specific goal in mind when you think about saving? For example, are you thinking about upgrading your school laptop? Are you trying to move out and become independent? Once you have figured out why you want to start budgeting, it is easy to use that motivation to actually build a budget with that goal in mind. A key thing that you will likely want to think about when you start to create a budget is, what are your basic expenses? This means things that you absolutely cannot live without, like your rent costs, your monthly food bill, your toiletries, and your phone bill. It is also extremely important to make sure that you include a fun or entertainment allowance in your budget. Figuring out this expense is important because budgeting can be extremely difficult if you're strict to the point where you only allot money for what you consider your basic needs. However, if you allocate, say, $50 to eating out, then you have something to look forward to that is within your budget, so you don't need to worry about breaking the bank while spending time with those you care about. Something that I used to do before I would go out was withdraw a certain amount of cash, usually $40. That was my fun money for the evening. And I would use it to pay for things like cover charge, food and drinks. This made sure that I didn't overspend. You can put all this information into a Google Sheet and take a look at what your overall costs are for a month. Once you have listed your basic expenses, you can then take a look at how much money you actually have and compare and contrast the two. This is where you're going to be able to look at how much money you need per month versus what your budget should realistically be. You might find that there's a deficit or a surplus. If you have a particular savings goal in mind, you can see what the monthly amount you can put towards your savings goal should be without affecting your quality of life too drastically. This is also the point in your budget where you should start asking yourself questions. If there is a deficit in your monthly expenses, how are you going to close that gap? If you have a surplus, what are you going to do with that extra money? If you have a specific savings goal in mind, are you going to be able to save up enough money within the time frame that you had in mind? Will a short-term savings plan affect your quality of life too drastically? In the next video, we will be exploring one particular question that a lot of students find themselves struggling with. What are you going to do if you have a deficit in your budget versus your monthly expenses? Continue watching this playlist to get tips on different budgeting methods, how to get financial assistance, and other ways to balance your budget. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our website at learningcommons.ubc.ca for more resources.